David Shearer.
Mr Chair, Sir, I've spoken on this bill before, and I first of all want to just compliment the work that Phil Goff has done on this, because he has progressed it from a point where we had very limited benefits to servicemen who had served our country abroad, and as the result of his lobbying and his intensive action on this has made some real differences and will bring about some real differences for many of our veterans. Sir, I think, as we all know, we ask our service people to go off to serve our country, put themselves in harm's way, and we respect them for doing that. We honour them for doing that, but that honour is not just in the form of medals and parades, etc. It's also about the way we treat people in terms of what the abilities and the type of support that we can get in behind them in terms of financial support and recognition. And this is what this bill is really all about. It's about making sure that the proper recognition is given to our service people for the work and the service that they have done for us. Now, when this bill was put up first, it was in 2006 when Rick Barker looked at it. It's about 8 years ago. It's taken a long time for this to come to the fore. We would like to see it out of the way under this Parliament. We certainly support the bill, but we're asking for more modifications. We did, in some of our initial SOPs that were put forward, we asked the government to change the 52% disability impairment which was in place. And it really was about the ludicrous way in which people had to prove that somehow they were 52% impaired. I mean, why 52% as opposed to 51% or 55%? I don't know, but it was a ludicrous situation that they were in, and that was changed. And I thank the government for coming to its senses to accept that. Some of the other things that they accept by allowing veterans to have automatic entitlement to a community services card. Once again, it's a small issue, perhaps for many of those people who are looking at this bill, but it's a very big issue for those service people. And once again, it acknowledges the effort and the contribution they have made to New Zealand. It also enabled the continued payment of a pension while that service person was in hospital for more than 13 weeks. And again, that was a recognition and a change that occurred. And these were all changes that happened to the 1954 Act, which hadn't been looked at really since 1954, and which the Honourable Rick Barker decided in 2006 was well overdue for attention. And he went about that change in a responsible way. He got the Law Commission in, asked the Law Commission in 2008 to make a full inquiry and investigation into what was there and in place, and that's what the Law Commission did. It came back in 2010. Well, here we are in 2014. 4 years after the Law Commission put forward its very learned and very sensible recommendations, and they weren't radical. They were simply bringing us up to date. And 4 years from there, we're still debating this as part of this piece of legislation. So our SOPs asked for those changes in line with what the Law Commission had recommended. The one thing that was not agreed to by this government was the lump sum payment on death. And for some curious reason, the government believed that wasn't going to go for the benefit of the service person, and therefore we shouldn't have that paid as part of that person's entitlement. So, as Phil Goff just mentioned in his remarks before, people here, it wasn't just one person who, in many ways, did the service, did the time for New Zealand. It was their loved ones, it was their wives, it was their husbands who have been at home looking after kids, trying to make do without one of those parents. It was for the mothers and fathers and sons and daughters who would have missed out as a result of that person serving our country. And it seems to me that, Mr. Chair,
David Shearer.
it seems to me that this is an incredibly small contribution that we can make to these people and to those people who have been left behind, who also made a sacrifice on behalf of New Zealand as well. And the cost is infinitesimally small when we look at it in the bigger picture. That is, it will cost about $11 million, according to Veterans Affairs, for 2014-2015 year, and it will fall steadily until it gets to about $8.4 million. That is not a lot of money. We are, unfortunately, the number of some of those veterans who are in the last years of their lives, they're old now, means that the numbers of those veterans who are around will fall, and therefore the cost will fall. I mean, in some point in the future, 20 or 30 years' time from now, some of our people who have been serving in Timor-Leste, Afghanistan and the Solomon Islands will come in to be eligible for that, but that will be sometime, sir, well down the track. But it does, sir, what it does do is it acknowledges fully, as per the recommendations of the Law Commission, the service of our people and their families, and I stress, and their families, because their families have suffered as well. It recognises that they have made that sacrifice and can be properly acknowledged and compensated for it. It means that a widow whose husband has died is able to meet the costs of a decent funeral, to enable her to transition and make her life a bit more comfortable as a result of receiving that lump sum payment. These aren't big things. They are just simply what we should, as a decent and fair nation, in terms of acknowledging and getting behind and supporting those people who go out, who choose to serve our country, do that, put themselves in harm's way, come back, possibly wounded or scarred psychologically, and have to pick up the pieces and move on with their lives. Those are the costs that we're asking them and their families to bear, and all we're saying is perhaps those families deserve some recognition of their costs, and we should get in behind them. Thank you very much, sir.
Call Moana Maki.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'm very pleased to be able to stand and take a call on support.